Hi, welcome to another chit chat with Haley. Um, so I've been thinking about our minor fears and how the initial jolt of seeing something that scares you or experiencing something that's less than ideal, um, and maybe even a little gross, like reminds you that you're a person with a heartbeat and um, some sort of like entity in the world. Um, so, with that idea of minor fears, I'm thinking specifically about um, the vermin and like other little things that are supposedly scary, but they're really just reminders that our feet are connected to the earth by gravity, and so are theirs. So, like every time you see a cockroach or um, a bird gets too close or a squirrel pops out from behind a tree and your nervous system reacts in a certain way that sends you into a hyper active state so you can take care of whatever problem is sending you. Um, the other day I was on a walk. The other day I was on a walk. I think I was going to work. I have like a mile long walk to work, and a squirrel like scared the living daylights out of me. Popped out of nowhere. I wasn't sure what it was, and I jumped. I I literally jumped out of my skin. I was like, "Oh my God. It's just a squirrel." Like, but for the rest of my walk, I was like hyper aware of everything else around me, and I was reminded that I'm not really just a zombie um, marching around the earth. Like I have purpose and I have emotions, and I'm this living being inside of a body, not just the flesh that comes along with it that doesn't experience anything. Um, yeah, I've also been seeing a lot of dead birds. And like seeing dead things is also kind of scary. Um, I don't love it. I don't know anyone that does, but I see a lot of dead birds, and one of my coworkers was like, "Oh, that has to be an omen. That people I know say that means something." And I'm like, I'm too scared to look up what it means in case the universe is telling me it's something bad, you know? Because if it's something bad, I don't want to know. I'm like, avoid whatever pain that's going to cause me for now, because there's already too much going on. Um, but I see like a completely smushed bird at least twice a week, which I feel like doesn't sound like it's a lot, but that's a lot. And I guess I'm just not sure um, why. Like, am I just hyper focused on the fact that I see a ton of dead birds? Because when I was in Nebraska for 3 months, I never noticed a single dead bird. And now that I'm back, I'm experiencing all these dead birds that were already there. I just never really noticed before. Um, Something about that has really been sitting with me too. Not in like ultimately uh, an extremely dramatic way, but I don't know. In a certain way, it's been at the back of my mind. I'm also speaking of dead things and vermin, um, and physical reactions and pain. Um, so I had a mouse problem in October of 2019. Not a problem. I saw one mouse. And honestly, if I see a mouse, we're setting up traps immediately. Like, I've never caught one on a trap before, or I hadn't caught one on a trap before. Let's say that. Um, but I was like, yeah, we gotta get that taken care of. Because normally if there's one, there's more. Um, it's just a matter of where they are. So I had them set out traps. And by them, I mean my landlord's people, exterminator, whoever they are. I had them set up traps in October, and I hadn't seen him. I knew he was around because he was stealing off the traps, the mouse was. And I knew he was around stealing the traps, or stealing off of the traps because there was like bait on them, of course. Um, and like if I dropped food and forgot to pick it up, it would disappear, and I was like, okay, this little guy is definitely around. So I I don't know, I really started rooting for him as a being in the world, on the planet. I really started rooting for him. Um like would leave him. Oh my god, this is so, it sounds so bad. But I would like leave him little treats like near the trap because I knew he was gonna come and get them. Um, Not the pet I asked for, but somehow I found it entertaining. Um, and one day I put like a mini chocolate chip in or on one of the traps just to test him a little bit, you know? At a little risk. I was not thinking that he would like fall for it, because he had been so smart up to that point, and it's like February now. So the traps went down in October, and I put the mini chocolate chip on the trap like at the end of February. And so the next morning, I wake up at, I don't know, 4:30, 4, I think. I start getting ready for work. I don't turn the lights on because it's so early. Why would I turn? It's so early. Why would I turn the lights on? And eventually I do turn the lights on because I have to grab things for the rest of my day. It was a Wednesday, which meant I had meditation, a knowing dance more, and maybe one other class. Um, but came, I turned the lights on, and immediately I see the little guy on the trap. When I tell you that sent me into a full spiral at 4:30 in the morning, I was done. I was sobbing. I was hyperventilating. I I couldn't deal with the fact that that little guy was on a trap, like real life. Like setting the traps is one thing. You're like, all right, I have these things in my house that could potentially um, work, and when they don't work, you're never expecting them to work. And so then when you see like a lifeless mouse on it, it's just so heart-wrenching. I don't know, there's something about this intentional loss of any life that like really, really hurt me. Um, I called my dad. Well, I called my mom first and she didn't answer because it was 3 o'clock in Nebraska. Like I wouldn't expect her to answer. Um, so I called my dad and I was sobbing over the phone. Just sobbing, crying. I couldn't I couldn't pick it up. I couldn't look at it. I had to get to work. I was a mess. Um, and yeah, everyone was like, "Well, that's how it's meant to be. Like he's not meant to be in your space. He's not the mouse is not a welcome he's not welcome. He's um he's like intruding on your space and he's dirty, and if you didn't want him to get caught, you shouldn't have put had the traps down." And I was like, "You're right, but it doesn't." And I'm sure I'm better off with him have, like being caught on a trap, but it doesn't make it hurt any less. Like loss of life is loss of life, and it really, really hurt me. I couldn't even pick it up. I had to call my landlord and have the maintenance man do it because couldn't I couldn't bear it. I was grossed out. I was sad. I was sad more than anything. Um, but here's me, like, can't even squish a bug, and I was not gonna be able to pick up a squished mouse. No, um, not at all. Actually, not at all. Um, yeah. So there's my stories for today. Maybe they are cluing us to ways of experiencing pain and others' pain, and I don't know, modes of empathy maybe. I'm not sure. We'll find out. Thanks.